4:02,
Yes.
and we still don't have a quorum, correct?
Correct.
Well, we'll do roll call anyway to see who's here now. And I'll start with me. I'm acting chair, Vice Chair Larry Keeler, Commissioner, calling from, not this time my recliner, but my office chair in Ann Arbor.
Okay. Commissioner Poster, not here yet. Commissioner Hawkins, not here. Commissioner Damon is absent today. Commissioner Solomon is not here yet. Commissioner Mozak.
Yes, hello, I'm Kathleen Mozak, and I am a commissioner, and I'm calling in from Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
Tim Hall, Commissioner, calling in from Ann Arbor.
Commissioner Gossage.
Alex Gossage, Commissioner, calling in from Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nelson is not here. Commissioner Button is not here, and Commissioner Allen Pipkin is going to be absent today. Hold on.
Okay, now,
Someone's coming in.
the first message. The first thing I have to say is that Chairman Zach Damon said that he very much apologizes for not being here, but he said he's got a previous engagement, so he apologizes very much for not being here. And since we don't have a quorum, I think we should move on to, if everybody agrees, I think we should move on to the presentations first.
Commissioner Solomon is here. Commissioner Solomon,
is that a
where are you
quorum then?
reporting from?
Matthew Solomon, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you.
So does that make a quorum, Denise?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, with any comment with your guys' permission, I think with the commission's permission, I think we should move straight on to presentations then.
Sounds like a good idea, Larry.
All right. So the first presentation, I'm following along with my voice on the computer. It's presented by people from Move, M-U-V-E, and we got Mr. Peter Grande and Mr. Thomas. How do you pronounce your last name, sir?
Actually, Thomas wasn't able to join. Thomas wasn't able to join today.
And was Julie Roberts able to show up?
I haven't seen her either, but that's okay. I've done this before on my own, and I have no problem doing it again.
Okay, well then, with all ado, please present, Mr. Grande.
All right. Well, let me start by saying thank you to everybody for having me here today, and allowing us to introduce ourselves to this group and in one shot here. It's an honor for us to be speaking with you, and we appreciate you guys carving out some time for us today. So I'm going to, and Alex, nice to see you again. I'm going to share my screen when I get a chance here. Now, Denise, do I have to stick to the presentation that I shared with you, or am I able to bounce into another one as well? I want to make sure that.
It'll be up to you.
Okay, all right, because I'm going to go through this one fairly quick, and then there might be another one that I want to jump into. So can you guys see my screen? Awesome, okay. So again, I'll reintroduce myself. It's Peter Grande I'm a co-founder of Move, and Move is spelled M-U-V-E, which stands for My Universal Vision for Everyone. And in this presentation, it's Michigan's Universal Vision for Everyone, which just so happens to work really well with the letter so far. So, what we're here today to do is introduce ourselves and our program that we're starting to launch in Washtenaw County with Ride the Wave, or with Wave Bus and Julia Roberts and her team, in partnership with MDOT, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And I included the logo here with you guys because I really appreciate this opportunity today. So just going to keep moving along here. I got a little agenda that we're going to lay out for you guys today. This is our diversity and inclusion statement. You know, I don't know, Denise, does everyone have a copy of this presentation? So I don't have to necessarily read it. They'll be able to review some of these slides on their own.
Yes, I attached it to the agenda.
All right, awesome. Okay, so, you know, it's obviously extremely important to us, diversity and inclusion. It's why we started this company. It's a huge pillar of our company within our corporate culture internally, and everything we do externally has to kind of make sure it mends with that and is a huge mission for us going forward. So introducing ourselves, we stand for My Universal Vision for Everyone, and we designed our technology to be a community-led ecosystem through transit operations and our technology, and then a lot of stakeholder collaboration, which is probably the most important piece of MOVE. We tackle the barriers that exist in inclusive transport, the built environment, customer service, and community partnerships or collaboration. And we do that by aggregating all these below stakeholders here, the transit, community organizations, train drivers, local businesses, and of course the riders or the end users. So we ask ourselves, why move? And it's really because transportation in itself is always one of the biggest barriers towards a fully inclusive society. So, you know, we do so much to make our buildings accessible and, you know, our libraries and things like that, but sometimes we just can't get people to and from there. So our hospitals and things like that. So when we look at transportation as a collective and not from individual perspectives, we realize that we can accomplish more together. So our technology and our approach is through collaboration, which allows the local community and its stakeholders to collaborate and build something unique for their needs. So every solution that we really launch is different depending on the area that we're in. And that really comes from people like you guys and our partners and things like that. So a summary of our ecosystem here, you can see we have our current partners along the side here. We got WaveBus, MDOT, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Thomas's company is Ride Your Way, and he's also a MOVE representative. We have you guys here, and I just put this here as a conversation starter because this is our hope, is that we continue to fill this page with more logos and more people that have common needs in both transportation and information and community. So you can see MOVE kind of sits right in the middle of this ecosystem, and we do our best to facilitate community engagement through technology and the sharing of data and information between all the stakeholders. We communicate it, collaborate it, and connect it through the technology. But you can see here, this is where there's always these gaps in transportation. And one of MOVE's jobs, or our main job, is really to aggregate and organize and help provide a platform so that transit, private transportation providers and taxi providers can all work together, find efficiencies, and make sure that the end user experience is the best that it can be. So we do that through our application, our technology. So we have, I'm just going to quickly go over the technology. This is our demand rider applications. And it's a lot like your Uber and your Lyfts and the leading rideshare competitors. You can see the vehicles in real time. You can select your service along the bottom. You can pre-schedule or grab an on-demand ride, and you can go from there. I circle this because we work with some of the local organizations to see if there's any, extra funds that can be raised at the end. Instead of a tip to the driver, maybe there might be a donation to certain foundations and societies that might be out there in Michigan. And that is part of our job, really, is to raise the awareness of other organizations along with ours. And what really separates us from some of the others is that we have community building toolkits within the app. So here I'm showing you guys what we do is curate events in the area for the people to attend, like curate events in food and drink, sports, learning, entertainment. This is a bowling night, and you can book your ride right from the app, invite somebody else to go on along with you, and then you can share it over your social networks, which helps kind of increase the volume and raise the volume of all of our collective goals and missions in one shot. So we're not only just getting you to doctor's appointments and things like that, but we're helping you to be more social, get to the library, and be a part of society so that you can be spontaneous and do the things that you want to do, and maybe meet your future employer, your future wife, and contribute back into society. One of the other things that we do is, as we commit to a community and they commit to us, is we start to tag the built environment. So we'll go around and start to ask questions. Is this location accessible? Are there accessible bathrooms? And you can see right within the app if your location is accessible in green, red, or orange pins means partly accessible. And you can upload pictures to the app if there's a certain barrier that you want to give people the heads up for, and then they can almost plan their trip. So we not only get you there, but we can help provide a reason for you to get out, and we can also help you plan your trip so that there's the least amount of anxiety and comfort level within that trip. We have a lot of driver apps that help them to build their business and be sustainable, and give continuity. There's nothing worse than showing up in a community and then leaving 4 or 5 months later because there wasn't enough, business, or it was a pilot project or whatever. We really want to commit to all the stakeholders that commit to us. And by doing so and giving them the tools to be more successful, then we have a better chance of doing that. So, this is our transit driver app that Julia and her team will be using. And then they'll also be using this dispatch portal that really ties all of these technologies together. So Wave is able to dispatch the vehicles, manage the drivers, speak to the riders in real time, and everything was created together. So there's a really seamless flow to this real-time information, real-time data at your fingertips. So we're just finishing off that integration with Wave and Julia and her team. We're pretty much done now. We're just making sure that the next 15 days, by the end of the month, we're working out some kinks, and they should be going live on the service by April 1st, which is very exciting for us. We've worked with MDOT before. We have some testimonials here from Jean and from Eric. We were actually up in the UP. We cut our teeth in the UP with the Michigan Mobility Challenge. Unfortunately, we're not there currently because COVID kind of, derailed their operations over there and really hampered their efforts to put into new technology and new services, things like that. So hopefully we can revisit that. But, we had a good word with MDOT, and they really wanted us to try this again. And they moved us into Julia's area, through Julia's grace and commitment, and through their commitment to us. So we're pretty grateful for that and excited to see what we can build. So I'm going to stop this share and then maybe go quickly into the app itself, if you guys are okay with that. And just show you maybe what's a little bit more in depth of what the app can actually do. So, you sign in. Can you guys see my screen still?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you log in with your smartphone or your device. We verify your phone number. You start to create accounts. So right away, you can sign up on behalf of somebody else as a caregiver, or on behalf of yourself. And right away, we start to ask you what some of your accessibility needs are. And you can make notes into your account. I have an oversized wheelchair, or I had a stroke and minimum left side mobility, different things like that. So now I have an assistance dog with you. Now we can send the right vehicle, the right driver, for the right client, for the client that's asked for it. And it's just to better service the client. So this, like I said, you can see the vehicles in real time. You can, it saves your frequently used addresses, and you can already see the pins on the side there that I was talking about. So I want to go to City Cafe, and here you'll see the different options. So you have an assisted ride, which is a sedan with an assisted driver, a wheelchair ride. These are both on demand. And then in this case, you can also call Julia's Wave service and get it right from there for the subsidized rate. You can pre-schedule your trip and then add it to your calendar, and it helps you just to organize and all that stuff. So this is the activities that we mentioned. So you can see here a little bit closer up. This is a bowling night. When is it? Where is it? You can see how many people are going. You see if any of these are your friends or people that you wanted to get to know. Click I'm going. Put a few more people in there if you want to go with family, friends, caregivers, whatever it might be. Confirm, share it over your social network. And now what we're doing is creating that community within the community. So, and then here's the tagging. So you start to see all the pins. There's some orange, some red, some green. You can click on Crew Collective here, and this is an example of the questions, and it just scrolls by, and they're very easy yes or no questions. Yes. You can see the summary down here. And now, like I said, we've recently upgraded this to, to be able to upload pictures, and there's 5 questions, and there was a lot of research done into those questions. There's 24 contributions of this pin, so it's all crowdsourced information. And we believe this is extremely helpful in building kind of a sustainable system around community needs and transportation. And then you just really have your profile here where you can add a credit card, passengers. So if I was a caregiver, I would have, maybe I do it for multiple people or whatever. You can add someone to that. We start to gamify the system and reward people for dropping pins and tags in locations for how many trips that they do. You can earn free rides. You can earn credits at local businesses for discounts, things like that. So that's really, and I have to go fast because I know you guys have a busy schedule and a meeting today, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I feel like, having you guys on the line here, introducing yourselves. I had a call with Alex, and he seemed, extremely receptive to the services that we're going to aim to offer and to support us in any way. And really, that was my purpose here today, was to really, say hello, introduce ourselves, and see if there's anything that, we can do for your organizations, for your communities, if there's any introductions that you think, might be beneficial to those people. And I'd be happy to take those and follow up with them and introduce myself further. So, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them. Again, this is really Wave and Move. It's a partnership, so I want to make sure that's out front. Wave Bus is our main client. We really want to help their operations, help them to get better, give a great experience, and then from there, we want to support them. If it means off hours ride hail, 24 hours a day, we'll see what the demand is, where we need to be, and we'll continue to build towards that. So I appreciate your time, and if there's any questions, please fire away.
So where are you offering the service in Washtenaw County? I know, figuring that you're partnering with Wave, it's probably like the western end of the county. And I'm just wondering, are you linking up with their service that goes Dexter, Chelsea, Ann Arbor, or are you providing rides to Ann Arbor, or what exactly kind of service you're going to be providing for Wave?
Okay, so great question. It's something that we're obviously not sure of yet because we haven't launched, but the plan is really to start in Chelsea, Dexter, the main areas that Wave Bus services, and then to really expand out from there. So Wave will be able to, wherever they run, that service will be available. And then our job is to really create the demand so that we can be in Ann Arbor, in any of those neighboring communities, which is why I'm on the call today, to kind of gauge some interest, make some contacts, because really it's about building the community now. Wave is our reason to be there and our reason to exist. And now we kind of build out from there. And to be honest with you, Move's goal is to be across Michigan and to offer these services right across Michigan. We prefer to, or not prefer, but we believe that a lot of the issues we experience in transportation happen in the rural areas, and that the bigger city centers have a good amount of services that there's not a big gap in services there. But we believe that by starting in some of the smaller communities on the outside and then feeding the bigger cities that way, that's how you truly create those link ups. So Larry, it's my goal and our goal is to be everywhere in the county and beyond.
Yeah, that's interesting. So are you essentially going to be basically operating Wave's demand response service? Is that the idea?
Well, we offer it through the technology. So they're operating the service. They're just using the technology. What the technology is going to do, and then what we're going to build underneath that, is how to do it in the hours that Wave can't do it or doesn't do it. So say peak hours and there's not a lot of availability for the buses there, then we can support that. But mainly it's when they're not operating is how because we don't want to take business away from Wave or any of the community transportation operations that happen. We want to support them, give them as much business as they can take, and then wherever there are gaps, we look to fill those gaps.
Interesting. I kind of like what you're doing because I know a lot of these areas, I know my parents live in kind of a rural area of Washtenaw County, and in those areas, you not only not have public transit except for whatever, there are the Wave demand response things, but typically you have to call a day in advance and schedule a ride, and they're very limited times and things like that. But
right.
They're usually in those areas, you can't even get an Uber or a Lyft. It's just, and I kind of like the idea of trying to service those areas with something.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm trying to understand. So let's say the Wave operates between 9 a.m. and 2. That's not correct, but let's just say that's the assumption.
Sure.
So you're saying you're going to provide support on off-peak hours. Do you have vehicles, or are you looking for other transportation agencies to fill those needs and those gaps? I don't quite understand. And then my other question was, how long has your company been around?
Okay, great. So the first question is, yes, we are trying to, we don't have vehicles. We don't want to be a provider that offers vehicles in that sense. We really want to be the facilitator of all the people already in the community offering valuable services, and we don't want to take anything away from that. So our hope is that everybody will be able to jump on the app in some form, some capacity, be it on a ride hail, ride share. So let's say taxi providers could also download the app. And if somebody doesn't want to wait for the bus, or has a need just to go straight to this place and straight home, and it doesn't mind a different fare from the bus fare, then they can call that on demand, where the fares will be onboarded as we onboard the providers. So I used Ride Your Way as an example. Thomas is part of our move team, but he also has 4 vehicles that he operates in Grand Rapids, and he's going to come up to your area and start subsidizing or start rolling a vehicle around, trying to pick up some of those gaps in the marketplace. And then as we create demand, then you start to understand how many vehicles you think you need to be really good at it. So there's no really exact science to it. No one's really done it before, but what we're trying to build is really phased in. Phase 1 is going to be an extension of Wave's hours in the morning and in the evening. Phase 2, we're going to underpin their services with a different type of network, an on-demand network. And then phase 3 is we hope to expand and really get into new areas and onboard new providers, new community transportation centers, things like that. And then we've been at this since 2017, building the tech, and we've really been operating it probably tough timing, but right when COVID started is when we started to commercialize. So it's been a lot of hurry up and wait, but we have done some projects in Montreal here. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, by the way. And our company is a Canadian company, but we've done some projects in the US and in Canada, and they've proven to be very successful so far. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
For that.
I had my hand up. How much is it going to cost? That's what everybody's going to want to know. How much is it going to cost? You're going to have a flat rate. How much is it going to cost, and how far will you go?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is going to be part of when we jump in with the community and have these type of meetings is to try and set this up and then and understand where that threshold is and what it's going to be like. So Thomas has his company and he has a rate that he charges. So we're going to kind of start with that rate as whatever it might be, a per mile rate or a flat fee in zones. We're going to recreate it for this opportunity, and then we're going to focus group it in a sense to see where that point is. And then we're also going to go out and try and find businesses to, sponsor it, offer them value back, and then subsidize rides the same way, I guess, MDOT subsidizes rides through that community ecosystem that we're trying to build. So it's a tough question to answer now, Larry, but obviously our goal is to really make it like a bus fare as close we can, but that's going to take some time to build and have reasons and partnerships to be able to do those type of things. So I can't promise that, but that's our goal. Anyone else?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Grande. Your presentation was very good.
Thank you.
I think we should move on now next to the Washtenaw County for the Blind and Physically Handicapped with Miss Katie Munkowicz. She knows me.
Hi, everybody. Hey,
Yes,
I'm
Miss Katie.
sorry. I forgot to close my window. There's a big glare. I don't want to.
Oh, that doesn't
Okay.
bother me. I'm just waiting for my dogs to bark.
Yep. All right. Sorry about that. I will get started. So we've got a couple of events coming up to tell you about. And I'm happy to say that all of these events that I'm going to tell you about today are in person. So that's kind of cool and new for us. First, we have the Full Moon and Festivals Community Luminary and Puppet Workshop. This is going to be Sunday, March 20th and 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's at our brand new space. We've got a new warehouse at 265 Parkland Plaza over on the west side. So we want you to join us on the rest of the Sundays in March for Foolish Fun, making your own luminaries for Full Moon, which is happening April 1st. That's a parade downtown. And then help us make large puppets to get ready for Festivals, which is a parade downtown April 3rd. We're providing all of the materials, and we're excited to welcome Lavinia Panakiuk as artist in residence for this year's community workshops. These are hands-on workshops. They're for all ages, but children do need adult assistance for this. We also have our Emerging Writers Monthly Meetup. That's going to be on Monday, March 21st from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. And that is at the Westgate branch. We want you to come with questions, works in progress, or empty notebooks. All writers are welcome in this casual, supportive environment. Authors Bethany Neal and Alex Corvo will be on hand to answer questions and give encouragement. Bethany and Alex will also provide private one-on-one critiques if you choose to have them read your work. And sharing your writing with other attendees is not required and completely voluntary. So this event is part of the monthly Emerging Writers Workshops, which offer support, learning, and advice for local authors. Each month, there is a workshop and a writers meetup. The Emerging Writers Meetup is an excellent opportunity to meet your fellow Ann Arbor writers and get feedback from published authors. We welcome all writers to ask questions, connect with other writers, or simply have dedicated time and place to work on their projects. And then we also have Hello, my name is. It's a name change clinic. That's going to be on Wednesday, March 30th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. downtown on the 4th floor. We're joining the Jim Toy Community Center's outreach and the Outlaws at the University of Michigan for a free clinic dedicated to addressing the challenges of name changes for transgender and gender nonconforming people. They will provide details on how to legally change your name and gender marker in the state of Michigan. Information on how to update your social security, passport, driver's license, and birth certificate will also be available. Legal volunteers will be on site after the presentation to answer questions and assist with forms. All right, as far as materials go, as always, Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Print Disabled patrons can order digital cartridges by calling 734-327-4224 or emailing us at wlbpd@aadl.org. Please, as always, to sign up for the Braille and Audio Readings download service, BARD, to download your own books, visit nlsbard.loc.gov or just call us and we can assist with the application. Just a couple of books that have recently been added to BARD. Unwinding Anxiety, New Science Shows How to Break the Cycles of Worry and Fear to Heal Your Mind by Judson Brewer. A psychiatrist draws on his research in addiction and bad habits to suggest ways to deal with anxiety. Because anxiety lives in a part of the brain that resists rational thought, it can be hard to break out of anxiety habit loops. The author gives advice on discovering triggers and diffusing them. And finally, Demystifying Disability, What to Know, What to Say, and How to Be an Ally by Emily Ladeau. Handbook with guidelines and direction on how to be an ally to disabled people with actionable steps for what to say, what to do, and how to influence spaces to be more inclusive. Topics include recognizing and avoiding ableism, disability etiquette, practicing accessibility, and countering disability stereotypes. All right, that's it for me today. Does anybody have any questions? All right,
Well, Katie, if you need somebody to howl at the moon, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll show you how to do that.
Okay. Thanks, Larry.
Any
Thanks,
other
everybody,
questions?
for having me.
Well, Alex, it's your turn. The Center for Independent Living. What are you guys doing down there?
Thanks, Larry. Actually, I'm going to introduce one of my colleagues at the CIL, Joyce Blair. I've asked Joyce to start doing the CIL updates during our meetings so that I can focus on our meeting. So I'd like to introduce Joyce Blair. She's been with the CIL for a little while now, doing a whole variety of different projects, and I'm really happy that she was willing to take this on for me. So Joyce, take it away.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you, commissioners. I want to tell you guys about something exciting that's going to happen next month at the Center for Independent Living. There will be a virtual movie club. It will be nothing about us without us, and that's the theme. So it will be a virtual movie club. All of the resources that I'm going to tell you about are available on our website at AnnArborCIL.org. And so today at 6:30, there is a Danceability on Zoom. Danceability can be high energy or slow and gentle. So come as you are to co-create dance in a diverse community. The class is for people with and without disabilities, with and without formal dance training, and newcomers are welcome through the rest of probably the summer for this session. U of M Adaptive Sports and Fitness partners with the CIL and offering wheelchair basketball today, March 16th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. There's also a track and field U of M Adaptive Sports and Fitness today, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. And again, these links are on our website, and people that are going to participate must register. That participation is free of cost. On March 17th, Thursday, there is a virtual art open studio from 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. At this time, it is virtual. We're hoping to open to the public soon. And on March 17th as well, there is a movie club, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. The contact people for all of these events are listed on our webpage at AnnArborCIL.org. On March 17th as well, track and field will be with U of M Adaptive Sports, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. And again, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m., there's wheelchair tennis. March 18th, danceability on Zoom, and many more U of M Adaptive Sports events. So I would like to go to next week. On the 21st, there's a multiple sclerosis support group from 7 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. This is also a virtual meeting and accessible. On the 22nd, Trivia Tuesday, there's a Get Silly, Get Goofy, most of all, put on your thinking cap meeting from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. And again, there's virtual art on the 22nd. Those are guided sessions where they'll be painting from 3 to 4:30 p.m. And Tasty Tuesdays, March 22nd, 4 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. Join us from the comfort of your home on Zoom to sharpen your cooking and baking skills, learn new recipes, and have some fun. After you register, you will receive an ingredient and supply list to gather before each class. If you are under 18, you must be accompanied by an adult. That's Tuesdays, 4 to 5:30 p.m. March Madness Basketball Watch Party on March 22nd, 5 o'clock to 6:30. You can join the CIL on Zoom to watch highlights from this year's Big Ten basketball season. Play some trivia and catch part of a game together. We'll have fun and talk about festive basketball season. Let's see. And for the rest of the month, there are some other art studio classes available virtually. Every second Tuesday of the month, the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living holds a spinal cord injury or SCI support group, peer support group. It is a very lively group. All of the people that participate have incurred or acquired a spinal cord injury, and they support one another and talk about current happenings and accessibility. There's also a advocacy group called the Disability Community Advocacy Lab. That information is available on our website as well. Some of the current issues in Michigan are meeting accessibility, and the Open Meetings Act, which is 0824 in the Michigan Senate right now. And that is legislation to improve access for people with disabilities so that we can continue having virtual meetings. And as anyone knows, we can, the services we provide, the basic services we provide at the CIL are information and referral on a variety of topics, peer support, independent living skills like money management, et cetera, youth transitions or transitioning from youth to adulthood and the processes that go into that, assistance with applying for Social Security programs, transitioning from nursing facilities to community living, and all the processes that go with that, employment supports and benefits counseling for people that draw SSI or need soft skills training for employment. And then we have arts and recreation programming. So mainly we advocate for accessibility and adaptability in all that we do so that everyone is included in our society. And thanks for having me today. That's it.
Thanks, Joyce.
Sounds like a lot going on at Center for Independent Living, does it?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Oh, moving on then. Did we ever get a quorum, Denise?
Yes, we do. Commissioner Hawkins is here and Councilmember Nelson is here.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay.
I came from the preschool today.
So we have on the agenda, the next item is the Community Engagement Committee. And Rachel is asked to be, since she's here, she's asked to be put under our report. So do you want to give that report? Do you have a report to give on that, Rachel, or would you just rather move on to the next one and let Alex do his thing?
In terms of this month, I think we were keeping it separate since the schedule had already gone out when we had talked to Denise. But just to discuss more with the commission. So part of, I've been meeting a lot with Alex and Larry, and there's a lot of crossover between community engagement and partners in access. And I think we've kind of realized that there's a lot of good work that we could do together. So we're trying to see, ways that we can work together as a group. And so going forward, we're going to have like our reports together. So in terms of the March show for Ann Arbor Inclusive, they're talking to multidisciplinary collaborative course at University of Detroit Mercy, pairing nursing students and engineering students with physical disabilities, working to build medically safe devices to improve the life quality of people with disabilities. So that they're still recording. I don't have a date when it will be coming out in March yet. They're still brainstorming ideas of future guests. If you have ideas of people you'd like to see on the Ann Arbor Inclusive show, please reach out to us. And that you can, if you do have questions, you can reach out to Melissa Bondi at 248-505-2046 or Linda Evans at 734-276-2767. Thank you, Larry.
Rachel, I wonder if Peter Grande, I wonder if Peter Grande, who was just on earlier, would be a good guest for the TV show.
I think that's a great idea. I'll send an email to Melissa in the context of our presentation today and ask her to reach out to him, especially if they're still looking for future guests.
Well, guys, with your permission, before we get to Alex and the PIA report, I'd like to go back and vote on our February minutes and our agenda for this month. So I would appreciate a motion to vote on the minutes from last month. To vote on approving them.
So moved.
Would there be a second?
Second.
All in. Has everybody had a chance to look at them first?
Yes.
If there's no discussion, then I'll call it. All in favor of accepting the minutes from February meeting, signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now for the agenda for this month. Guess we need somebody to move that we accept that as well.
I'll move that, Larry. It's Kathleen.
Go ahead. I didn't hear you very well, Kathleen.
Oh, I was saying that I would move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay.
I can second that.
I'll second.
No discussion? All in favor of accepting the March agenda? Signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that one carried too. So now we have Partners in Access, and we have our Commissioner Alex Gossage doing that. And Alex, you did attend that snow removal meeting as well?
Yeah. Yep,
correct? I think we talked about that because Zach didn't quite tell me what was going on there, and since you attended, I had asked you if you put that, instead of putting that separately under the chair report, I figured I'd put it in right here. So go for it.
Sure. So the first meeting was a larger, I don't know if it was a larger meeting, I suppose, a separate meeting from our normally scheduled meeting we held. Councilmember Nelson was there, Councilmember Redina, Zach, myself, and Aisha from Detroit Disability Power. There had been a concern raised with a community member who was having difficulty with shoveling their driveways and their sidewalks, and in a roundabout way, it ended up being a big problem for them. They got ticketed, kind of got run around through a lot of different systems at the city, and it raised a couple of different questions, some of which I think this group and other groups have talked about for a couple of years now, which is related to people with disabilities and providing assistance to making sure that their sidewalks are cleared if they are not able to do that themselves. So that was kind of part of the discussion that we had as a group. The other part of the discussion of the group was, I think, at least on a tangent or somewhat related to discussions that we have had as a group related to the ADA coordinator, in that I think that group in particular thought there might be a benefit to having one individual or a number of individuals in the within the city administration who were better equipped at interacting and working with and serving people with disabilities, regardless of what the issue is. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an issue on city property. It could be an issue on private property where an individual such as this person needs assistance. I don't have a specific update since we had met, but where we kind of left things was that, the discussion ongoing. City Council continues to kind of look at some different options there, as well as city administration, I think, is also looking at some studies to see what the viability of different kinds of programs might be. The other piece is, I believe both Councilmember Nelson and Redina were going to be at least going back to some of their colleagues and some of the folks in the administration to talk further about the idea of there being some sort of disability liaison or something of that nature within the community. Councilmember Nelson, does that sound about right? I don't want to put anything on you that was.
No, that sounds right. That does sound right. I mean, the challenge of people falling through the cracks is a conversation that that was sort of the crux of it, and having somebody to contact, and there being a need for that. There are parallels to other things. We acknowledge people who are for means reasons can't cover property taxes or water bills and stuff like that, and it's a similar challenge removing snow. It's a similar burden that we should have a real clear route. This is how you identify to the city that, like, hey, I'm somebody who needs extra help with this. And so, yeah, we did talk about that.
Oops. Can I ask a question? I thought I heard last month from the city administrator during the A2 Academy some talk about DEI, having a point person for that within the city. Would that person then take over the ADA stuff, or did I hear that incorrectly? Have you heard anything about DEI, Councilwoman Nelson?
I haven't heard it relative to the ADA coordinator. That I have not heard. Did Mr. Nahoney suggest that was something that was likely to be added to their?
No, he did not suggest it, but in my head, I thought, gosh, that would make a DEI and ADA would be a perfect marriage. And I had meant to contact his office after the meeting, and it slipped my mind until it just got mentioned here. So if that's something you think might be beneficial, you're more than welcome to pass that on.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. That's a super good idea. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that. That's really good.
If there aren't any questions about that particular meeting, our follow-up meeting, which was more of our regularly scheduled meeting, Rachel and Larry were both there, kind of talked about this meeting that we had previously, and then also talked a little bit about our relationship with the committee that Rachel chairs and how that's going to continue to look ongoing. And then lastly, I would probably just point out we continue to have some discussion, but we're waiting to hear back on the snow removal piece, whether it's snow removal or ice as it relates to transportation and A-Ride and those drivers' ability to assist individuals. And then we also just briefly discussed the audible pedestrian signals and how this would also relate back to possibly having that sort of liaison or somebody who we can contact and they can let us know where these different projects are in process, because that's usually one of the big issues is that sometimes we make these calls or we make these requests and we don't know if they were followed up on, when they were going to be followed up on, and so on and so forth. So more to come, I think, I hope. And that's all I've got for today, Larry.
Any more questions for Alex? I guess the next one's the recruiting committee, and that would be mine. And I actually got started. I'm trying to chase down some people now, but I met with Councilwoman Nelson Thursday before last for had a breakfast, discussed all that, looked at some of the applications, and we've got 4 to look at, and I see we've got another one that came in last week, although right now, Denise, I'm having trouble reading it. If my PDF don't work, I may see if I can either talk with you, Councilwoman Nelson, or get you, Denise, to send me another copy of that application. So because the computer isn't reading mine, and right now I'm not sure if if my PDF was acting funny or not, but I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay.
And so we do have some applications to investigate, I'm happy to say. So next, I guess I'm done with that unless there's any questions. No questions? Well, then it's Transportation Committee with Mr. Tim Hall. Commissioner over there?
Yeah, so last month we met, and one thing we discussed is the bylaws, and we are making an update so that every commission that appoints a rep to the Transportation Commission, like including us and the AAATA board, will be able to appoint alternates. So that will not be an issue going forward. If one person wants to do it but may not make some meetings, they can appoint alternates. You will have to vote on those explicit alternates before doing it, but it will be possible. And they also discussed some issues with, like, there was a resolution that council sent that was like wanting U of M to build more housing. We decided not to take action on that. And so the next meeting we have, we're going to vote on the bylaw change. Hopefully we get it through. It may have to go through council first. I'm not sure, but then you'll be able to have the alternates. We're getting some presentations about a Vision Zero implementation committees, street resurfacing projects, and AAATA actually is going to present on their 2045 plan and their millage proposal, which I guess the millage proposal, in case it just came out, there's a lot going on there because they want to increase the millage rate quite a bit. though they do want to add service in. And they also mentioned part of that is also a deficit. I expect some of that is due to COVID, but there might be some other things going on. But they want to put that new millage up for August, though I guess there could be some discussion surrounding that. And yeah, I mean, because right now some of the details as to the service expansion aren't necessarily clear. That they were going to decide those later, but it sounds like they want to improve night and weekend service is a large part of the increase. But yeah, I guess that's going to be on there, and a couple other updates. So the one thing is we still need a new person to replace me on this. I'm not going to continue on the Commission on Disability Issues past my May term expiration. I know this time is just kind of hard, particularly because it's 4 o'clock. I mean, I've been kind of working half during this meeting, and also, yeah, I got this meeting at 7 o'clock, and yeah, so I decided to not seek another term at this point, and we need someone to take that on, but I am here till May, and possibly I know there are like things where you can hold over if they haven't put someone else in my seat until like June or something, though at this, and I mean, if you needed me to come back for that, I could, but at this point, I don't want to do another 4-year term.
Yeah, that's understood. So is there anybody, do we have anybody that is interested in that? In going to the Transportation Commission and representing us there in Timothy Stead?
Yeah, Larry, this is Kathleen. I cannot. It would be a conflict of interest for me. Yeah, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry. It sounds like it would be a really interesting opportunity, but yeah, it would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I have the same thing. If I have another meeting after this, I would be in meetings all day long, and you'd be hearing me eat in one of them and stuff like that. So I would have done it as well. But I encourage anybody that's interested to please think about it and contact Zach. You can contact any of us commissioners, but Zach or me are the two ones you can really contact, and contact Timothy too, so he can tell you what you're supposed to expect.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, is the thing, if anyone's being held back by the meeting times, I can totally get that, because that's why I'm going away. I mean, I don't know if it might be worth discussing changing the meeting time of this meeting or something. I definitely wouldn't want to stay. I mean, if you made it earlier, that would help a little, but it would encroach on work time even more. And I mean, even though there'd be more space, but yeah, I could see why that might be a problem, but if you can't really get someone, you may want to discuss that, because I get probably part of the thing that makes it unappealing, and part of why I'm kind of wanting to step away from this all is just having a meeting in the middle of the day and then having a meeting at night, and it's. So I guess that's it. I'd be yeah, just.
Commissioner Hall. Jim.
Yeah, I'm done.
The question is, how long are the meetings in general?
Oh,
the 7 o'clock meetings.
They're usually about 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, that's also good to know. Okay, moving right along, we got the U of M Council for Disability Concerns, and we got Commissioner Mozak giving that report. Go ahead, Kathleen, if you'd like.
Sorry, I was on another screen and I couldn't unmute. So we met.
I'm sorry about that.
That's my issue, I guess. We met March 8th on Tuesday, and it was quite a long meeting, but it was focused mainly on engaging. We had a presentation by Angie Hall, and she is the Director of Accessibility and Disability Resources at the University of Toledo. And so she gave a very interesting and long presentation with regards to their infrastructure on disability services. They have actually a disability program, a disability studies program. So like a women's studies, they have disability studies, which I thought was quite fascinating. I don't believe we have anything like that at the university. And so that was pretty much the bulk of the meeting. If you would like, it's a two-page report, and I can send it to Denise that she can forward it to the rest of you so that you can read it for yourselves. We also, let's see, we talked about the Los Angeles Community College District, that they were talking about litigating accommodations. I know that the ADA community was quite concerned, but they have opted to not continue on to the Supreme Court, which has given everybody sort of a sigh of relief, because that could really have mucked things up a little bit. We also talked about the Disability Day of Mourning event that was held at the beginning of March. It happens every year. And this event, if you have not had a chance to attend, it's a very moving, passionate, mournful event that reads out the names aloud of persons from the year prior, persons with disabilities who were murdered or killed by their caregivers, their parents, filicide. And so we try to flip this, they're trying to flip the script a little bit, in that by honoring those who have actually died and mourning their loss and putting a name to their existence, sort of takes away, there's a disturbing trend of when someone with a disability is murdered or involved in a crime where their life is taken. There's a lot of empathy and focus on the person who actually committed the crime. So, for instance, if parents killed their 2-year-old child because they were too much to deal with because of their disabilities, they would say, oh, those poor parents had to endure so much, not what did the person with the disabilities have to endure? You know what I'm saying? So the Disability Day of Mourning happens once a year. It'll happen again next year. And when I know about it, I will make sure to get the information to you. Again, it's a very somber but important day in our community that needs to be addressed. So thank you. That's everything. Our next meeting for the Council for Disability Concerns is Tuesday, April 12th, and it is at noon, and we are still meeting remotely via Zoom. I believe you can go to the Council for Disability Concerns link on the University of Michigan website and get the Zoom information there. Thank you.
Next is the city personnel report, Denise.
Okay. Good afternoon. Personnel update. The city welcomes Suzanne Flowers, Engineering Transportation Program Manager, Jonathan Hogwood, City Assessor, Office Property Appraiser, Ryan Lynch, Water Treatment Services, Water Utility Technician, Kelly Stewart, Office of the Mayor and City Council, Executive Assistant. Retirement farewells go to Shane Dennis, Police Staff Sergeant, Brett Hansen, Police Detective, June Herr, Police Senior Officer, Robert Schneider, Police Detective, and Renee Wagner, Police Professional Assistant. That's it for me.
Oh, we got a lot of them.
Yes.
And now we have the chair report, and the chair, Zach in fact, Chairman Damon there, he let me know that the only thing he had at that time was the snow removal update, which Alex gave because he went there and he was sorry he couldn't be here this month, but his commitment happened then. So he will be back next month. Is there anything else he let you know before he left, Denise?
No, there was not.
Okay, so there is that. So next, is there any old business that needs to be discussed?
I actually have an update on the APS, the accessible pedestrian signals resolution that we talked about. How long was I muted? I actually have an update about the APS, the accessible pedestrian signal resolution that we passed last month. I heard from staff. So fortunately, they didn't communicate it to me as a map, but I got, there are 54 RFB locations where there's an APS, and there are 10 signalized intersections where APS exists. And in answer to questions, they said, we can actually pitch what's going to be the best way for residents to directly request APS signals, particularly for people who are visually impaired, because obviously it's addressing their needs. Right now, the installation of those signals is just a dollar amount per year. It's at $50,000, and so
Per signal?
Per signal. No, not per signal. No, it's $50,000 per year is allocated. Now, this is the explanation. So $50,000, if there's no required concrete work, that could cover up to 4 intersections. If they have to do concrete work, then the cost for one intersection, just one, could be $50,000 to $90,000. But they've only programmed $50,000 per year. So that's funding. And they said for most intersections, you need concrete work. I'm not sure I don't know how any of them are getting installed based on how little we've funded them. There are 2 ways that they can be integrated. I'm reading this email. I just got it 2 days ago. We could require that every time a sidewalk or a crosswalk is constructed, that it be constructed in a way that it's compatible for installation, so that in the future, they would put in the underground stuff, the conduits and the handholds, so that it's ready, but not installed. That's like every crosswalk or intersection that they do, like they make them all APS ready. That seems like an obvious thing to do. The second option is that whenever any sidewalk or crosswalk is part of a capital improvement project, they could just upgrade to an APS just as like a default. But they're saying that a lot of these projects don't touch all 4 corners of an intersection. So if we were to do that, then we would be we might have sort of APS on one side of the intersection, but not on the other, because we would. And then the other piece of it, because I was asking about how we could have a formalized plan of, these are the ones that are high priority that need to be done because of accessibility issues related to their location. They sent me a link. I was sent a link for the National Cooperative Highway Research Program, which has there's basically, like, somebody has already put out a report on how to prioritize locations based on user requests and location. So, I should forward this on. I need to ask more questions about what is required in terms of, like, those 2 things. Seems to me like a no-brainer that we would every time we redo an intersection, we make it we make it APS ready, even if we don't have the funds to upgrade it right then. And the second piece of it, just installing APS as a default. I don't know about that, because I don't know if it's smarter to, with as little funds as we're dedicating to this, I don't know if it's smarter to dedicate it, those funds, to resident request or prioritize locations. I mean, this could apply to so many different resources that, like, with a limited amount of funds, like, do you put bike lanes everywhere, or do you put, do you follow what I'm saying? There's sort of more discussion to be had on this topic. I need to forward this email on.
Well, our partners in access can help you that further discussion, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's another suggestion that I just thought of. Another thing I just thought of that might be kind of interesting to put up there. It's a second sideways piece. But what if you're a guy moving into town, or a girl coming into Ann Arbor, and you're going to live there? Is there a way where you can find out where the APSs are?
I think that's a really super good idea.
Well, because I know where all the ones in my neighborhood are. The only reason I know that is because they're there and they weren't there before I was here. But if I had moved here from somewhere else, or even moved into a different neighborhood, it might be a nice idea to find out where they were before I moved in, instead of looking around for them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they shared it to me as a list. I thought it would have been probably better to, like, have them as locations on a map, but I have just a list, and so it's like street names, like Stadium and Greenview and Stadium and Maywood, or whatever they were. Like, the list is, it's like a lot of our RFB, a lot of pedestrian crossings, and 10 signaled intersections. But that's a really good idea, because they've said this, the response I got said that they would be perfectly happy to just set up a web page on the city site. They can design whatever resident requests direct through the city site that we think would be best, something simple and straightforward that people can find. And it does seem like that would be help as an additional piece of information on that page. Could be like, here's a map of where they are already. That's a really good idea.
Any more questions? Any more old business, or any more old business? Then we would move on to new business. Is there any new business? Okay, closing new business. Any communications to be passed along? Any messages, communications, announcements?
Can I just request that Kathleen, please circulate the report generated by the committee that she spoke about? I'd like to read that in full if possible.
Yes, I'd be happy to. I'll send that off to Denise tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if there's no further, okay. If there's no further business, there's no announcements. I would request someone move that we adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's in favor? Wait a minute. We could go another 45 minutes.